What's up, everybody? My name is DJ Darby with the Red, White, and Pissed podcast. It is 10:27 on the 17th of February, and we're starting off with episode 3. So I guess we got a little bit to talk about. It's really kind of been a slow week and weekend for events as far as political events go. But I've got enough to talk about, and I might over talk on certain situations. And if you're still, shoot my desk, but if you're still, listening to the podcast and keeping up with the stuff, I very much appreciate it. My first episode was kind of a disaster. I mean, I wouldn't say a disaster, but it wasn't the best of all. My second episode, I feel like I did a little bit better on staying on topic on things and trying to keep it somewhat interesting. At the end of the day, politics can be very boring for some people, and for some people, it can be very, overwhelming. So I get him not really talking about some of the most popular ideas or most popular talk points. So, like I said, if you're still here, I very much appreciate it. And if you would, like, subscribe, and share my pages, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube. I'm still planning on starting up a TikTok page for the podcast. I haven't gotten around to it. I've also been struggling with trying to get this uploaded to Apple. I want a little bit of transparency here with y'all. Every time I try to upload to Apple, it asks for my logo. Well, I put the logo in and it says I need a completely different file for it. And so I've been getting with the guy that created the logo and trying to get something figured out to where we can make it work. But uh, I haven't really had much success on that. So if y'all could work with me on that. And bear with me on today's episode because, like I said, it's going to kind of be boring, but don't leave yet because it's a lot of information that I feel like we should talk about and a lot more other people should be talking about, which I'm not saying it's not over talked. I do like to stay um, stay included in the stuff that's going on, and I do these episodes when I get off work, when I get my family situated, so I'm a little later than everybody else, but I do try to keep everybody else informed. With that being said, I'm going to kind of give you a summary of what we're going to talk about today. And we do have a little bit of government shutdown going on again. It just feels like we just got over this. I'm not saying that it's going to be as big as the last one, but I do think it's very important and that it does still impact everyday citizens more than you want to believe that or whatever. And before we can start the finger pointing stuff, this is solely on the Democrats. Okay, we're going to touch on that. Excuse me. Um, and the implications to the government shutdown as far as who it attacks, and I say attacks, but who it impacts and who it doesn't. Um, so we're going to talk on that, and then I want to talk about ICE pulling out of Minneapolis or Minnesota in general, and the implications to that, because we see it as, well, they got their job done, and that is absolutely the farthest thing from the truth. We're going to kind of give you some numbers on that we do have going on. And one of the major news points of right now going on is another trans shooter. And we're going to kind of dive off into that a good bit because I have a lot of information that kind of feeds to a talking point that I've provided before to maybe not the podcast, but in general, like I've been, active about on Facebook. I get on these TikTok lives and I debate people. And this is one of the big standpoints I've had on this. And it just kind of falls into my narrative on it. And it kind of, proves itself. So we're going to talk about that. And then like I said, there's not really a lot on the Epstein stuff. You have Massey and Margaret Taylor Greene. And then you have Rokon. I probably butchered his name again, but like I said, it's 10:30, so I'm a little late. But they're kind of uncovering a lot more than what we had originally gotten from, the DOJ. And then, I can kind of touch on the Pam Bondi stuff, but everybody knows what they saw. Pam Bondi is not transparent with anything. She's actually kind of avoiding all this stuff. And I'm going to give my opinion on as to what I believe is going on with that and her whole idea of covering up stuff. I don't at this point, I'm kind of distanced myself from her and all the other bullshit. And I've kind of focused on what Massey and MTG has talked about, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then Rokon, whatever. I've kind of talked on them a little bit to people that I associate with, and what I feel that is kind of beneficial to talk about. Uh, and they're uncovering a lot of stuff. And I think that a lot of people wanted that, but we wanted it to a larger scale. We wanted the whole DOJ to attack it. We wanted Trump to come on to speak out about it. We haven't gotten that. We've kind of gotten told to let's talk on something else. And I'm just told y'all before, y'all not pissed off enough about these children being messed with and being raped and sexually trafficked. I mean, like, we really need to like nip that shit in the bud. And I've seen it in other governments. The UK is about to fall because of it. Uh, Pam Bondi, if anything she says is kind of credible, is hey, it's going to make our government collapse. Well, fuck it, we need that. We need to burn this place down, and we need to get something out of it. And with that coming out of this, I've kind of distanced myself. I'm the farthest you can believe. I'm just absolutely the farthest from a Democrat. But I've kind of started to distance myself from the Republican Party because of this sole, and I say sole, but this main topic here has kind of lost the voting for Republicans that are very, I will say, within the younger than 40 range. Because you got the boomers that kind of get to see what the news shows. They don't get to cover all this. And actually, I've been talking and my nana, I love her to death. She was trying to tell me to be more, you know, for the older crowd, and I'm gonna try to adapt to that a little bit and fix my wording on some stuff, and maybe watch my language a little bit better. But I am who I am, and I am very passionate about this, and I do get fired up, and especially when it comes to children, and that's kind of a big thing for me. So the transparency between me and everybody else is I'm raw. I'm straight up with everybody, and I've told you I don't really care about your feelings, and not saying that in a disrespectful way, but I have to get my point across in a manner that it's supposed to piss you off. Like, I didn't just say red, white, and pissed because we as the people are pissed, but I'm trying to hone in on the fact that we're not pissed off enough. And, we can say we're pissed off, but until you're infuriated by it, then maybe we can get some action done about it. And I'm just, who am I to say that we're not pissed off enough if I'm not passionate about it and actually enraged by it? Because like, it literally makes my stomach hurt, man. And I don't want it to affect me like that, but I'm a human being and I have kids. I protect other people's kids. Like, if I'm in the grocery store and you're not paying attention to your kid as good, I'm gonna kind of like, hey, I'm gonna watch your kid for you, and not to the creepiness level that unfortunately people have to clarify. But all that being said, I kind of wanted to get into this first talking point, like I said, the government shutdown. And so far, what this has become is and we're going to call it how it is. And I've told you, you can't really call me a sole Republican person right now because of the inconsistency I'm getting out of this party. And this is not what I voted for. So take this solely off of what I know and understand that I'm not bullshitting you, and this is not going to be no one-sided thing. But I will tell you right now, the Democrats are leading another government shutdown. What this party is basically doing is they're pitching a fit. So they're that kid that didn't get what they wanted in the grocery store, and they pitched a fucking god-awful fit about it, and they're in the floor rolling around crying. This is what this is. And what they think they're doing is, oh, well, we're fighting for the people, but you're really hurting the people. And don't build a propaganda ideology that you've ever gave a fuck about the people, because you've had the opportunity to give a damn about our people and you haven't. Neither party really has, and I'm out of the two-party system, to be honest with you. And I can't call myself a libertarian because I've never been able to side with them either. They're just too complacent, and I've targeted the complacency in human beings and American citizens and white people. And like I said, I'm a white nationalist, but I'm also a realist. So I see the crybaby ass fits they're pitching, and they didn't get anything out of the last government shutdown as much as they wanted to push that they were. and they put the blame game. And before we even get the ball rolling on the blame game stuff, let's just go ahead and call it how we see it. This is the Democrats pitching a god-awful fit in the grocery store because they didn't get what the fuck they wanted. And now we're going to touch on what they did want. What they do want is, let's see, they want ICE to wear masks, and they want them to have warrants to arrest illegals. Okay. First of all, let's just start off on the mask stuff. During COVID, I was so against masks, and it was because it was a crock of bullshit. But this, I can totally understand because, you got to think of the reality of these things. These are still human beings. Like, these ICE agents are still human beings. They have families. They go out to eat with their families. They want to, coincide with these people in the community, and they don't want to be hated. They don't want to be harassed with their family, and they have a job to do, just like we all have a job to do. And how would you feel if you were harassed every day at your job and you couldn't go out to eat with your family because of your job? Okay? Your defense to that is they signed up for that job. Well, that job needs to be done. Point blank period. Somebody's got to do it. Police officers get harassed all the time. But hey, I understand that police officers arrest criminals that are co-inspiring in the community to themselves. So they're not going to get harassed everywhere they go. But ICE people have everybody hating them. Literally. You have rioters, you have these protesters, these people that will dox you. I have a buddy that, he made a comment simply on a TikTok, and it was about the Billie Eilish stuff or whatever her name is. I'm not even going to give her the recognition because she's a billionaire, or a millionaire, whatever. And he got doxxed. Like, they literally messaged him with his home address, who he was in a relationship with, all the details to his life. He got doxxed based off a simple TikTok. Okay? And so to say that people like me and him and we get targeted, but you literally have ICE agents who can't even go out in public with their families because they're getting doxxed. And I think that's bullshit. And I'm pretty sure it is illegal, but so is the stuff they're doing, and they get away with it. So we're kind of setting a bad example by not prosecuting these people and by not locking them up. And we're going to touch on that too, because I did say we're going to talk about, the ICE pulling out of Minnesota, and it has a lot of facts and numbers by it, but I just don't understand the logic. And I get, you have to think of the two evils here. And when I say the two evils, like, you have to kind of not rationalize with the Democrats, but you have to see where they're coming from. And I always like to take that perspective on people. Like, hey, they have an agenda they want to push to work with their voters, right? Well, it's proven, and this all goes back to the voter ID stuff. It's proven they cannot get the votes without illegal immigrants and without the black majority, and they didn't even really win that last time. And so they kind of have to find a new route, which is saying, oh, well, let's just keep hammering these illegals in. And what we do have here, which is over 10 million immigrants because of the Biden campaign, or the Biden administration, they just let them in. So what we're going to focus on is their side of the podium, where you have to kind of work with them. You kind of want the illegal immigrants in, because once you get that no voter ID law passed, it's all, they don't even have to rig the elections anymore, which they were proven pretty much to do. I mean, I know that not far from here, but in Atlanta and all that bullshit in Georgia, Trump went over there and took their ballots, and they're going to actually look into it and prove pretty much that there was a voting conspiracy, or not a conspiracy, but a voting, a problem with their voting system, and like, hey, it was rigged. And he has fought on that for God knows how long. I was honestly tired of hearing it. Like, hey, man, it's over and done with. But we really can't have that mindset, because the next time we vote, we're going to have it in the back of our head, like, hey, they rigged the election anyways. What's the point in voting? And that's the worst mindset to have. So we can touch on that a little bit one day. I mean, that's not really set up to do that today. But so the whole point of the government shutdown, off the Democrats' mindset, is they want to defund and stop funding ICE. Okay, that was the whole sole priority of the government shutdown. Well, what they don't understand is, in the last big beautiful bill that was passed, ICE got all their funding. Okay, they're set up and they're fine. So who does it target? And when you look into who they're actually going against, dude, they're going against the Homeland Security. So then you take the Homeland Security, you know how we said earlier, the last podcast episode, it's like a tree, and it's got all these branches that break off. Well, when you got Homeland Security, which is the base of the tree, in that you have the transportation security admin, you have FEMA, and you have the Coast Guard, you have the Secret Service, and the TSA. Those are the ones that are getting really impacted by this government shutdown. And what they're going to do is they're going to regulate funding for that, and they're going to cut funding for it. So at this point, all of those are major security things for the United States and us citizens in general. Like, I mean, look at the TSA, for example. I mean, let's go ahead and defund the TSA. What the fuck are you going to do with that? Do you think the Taliban and all these crackheads, ISIS and all these freaking terrorist organizations aren't going to jump on that and say, hey, we've hijacked some planes before. Let's go ahead and bomb these. Okay. And like, what do you, to say that they care is absolutely oblivious to the fact that who they're targeting here impacts these people. Even if we don't vote for them, do we not have the right to be protected by a government entity? Technically, I don't care for a government entity protecting me, but if I hop on a plane, I would like everybody to go through a TSA checkpoint because of the bad in the world, okay? And FEMA. I mean, for God's sakes, if a hurricane comes through, they don't have the funding to help these people that were, the disaster struck. What are they going to do? I mean, who are we going to point the finger at? Are we going to point it at the Republicans that say they need the funding, please pass the funding? Or we're going to put it to the Democrats and say, hey, they don't need the funding. FEMA don't need the funding. Homeland Security, nobody in Homeland Security needs the funding. It's like, it's like an airball. Like the Democrats are shooting for a 3 by saying, hey, let's shut down the government. But it doesn't even affect, they're going to airball it every time because it doesn't even affect ICE. Like your main goal is supposedly to affect ICE funding and to slow them down. And you're not doing that. You're not going to do that by doing a government shutdown. So the mindset to this is absolutely stupid. For God's sakes, let's shut down the Coast Guard? What? Do you not understand what the Coast Guard does? Obviously, nobody that's a Democrat has been saved by the Coast Guard. Or nobody's gone through a TSA checkpoint and said, hey, thank you for doing your job because whatever behind me is from Benghazi and is probably wanting to set this plane off in the fucking orbit with a bomb. But where's the reality to that? Where's the logical thinking to any of this? In the Secret Service, I mean, you got to think, dude, Joe Biden still has a Secret Service or helping him walk upstairs. I don't know what he fucking does anymore. Obama still has Secret Service. Are we going to pull the Secret Service away from them because of the funding? No, because they're Democrats. Okay, so we're going to defund the Secret Service, the TSA, FEMA, the Coast Guard, the Transportation Security Admin, which I really don't absolutely know what that does, but I mean, I'm sure the word speaks for itself. Transportation Security Admin. Like, I'm sure that has something to do with the TSA, public transportation within the buses, or I don't really know. I don't live in much of a big place, but I mean, I would think it's a pretty important job. It obviously needed some funding at some point. And really, this is all over them wearing masks and wanting to require warrants to arrest illegal immigrants, man. I mean, what the fuck? Excuse me. I'm gonna wet my whistle a little bit. And I've talked on the mask, and I really don't know the logic of thinking that. What are you going to get out of that? You're already going to require them to wear, body cams, and you don't. I mean, they're dealing with cartel members here. They're dealing with, the terrorist organizations overseas that just walked in under Biden that nobody wants to hold him accountable for. Like, dude, that's a treasonous act to me. I mean, call it how we see it. We have more there's another part of this that I want to talk about that actually that talks about this. We have over 18,000 confirmed terrorist organizations, or not organizations in the United States, but terrorist people in the United States, people that act on terror, that are a part of an organization that's a terrorist organization in the United States. 18,000. And while I'm telling you all this, because I was surprised as well. You need to listen to Sarah Adams on the Sean Ryan podcast. And I'm not promoting another podcast, but I do listen to Sean Ryan a lot because there's a lot of people in there that can help open up my mind on a lot of things. And like I said, I spend all day trying to be educated on different topics to bring to y'all. But she goes into detail on all this terrorist stuff. I mean, we're still funding ISIS and all these fucking terrorist organizations. Like we're still funding them. We're literally paying them to kill us. Point blank, period. But so all these people that they're trying to defund by their pitching a fit, all these people, it affects us directly, whether anybody likes to believe that or not, whether the Democrats like to believe that, it affects them, but maybe not to the major scale that affects me and you. So this podcast is made for people like me and you, so you should be up in arms about that. You should be fucking pissed off about that. Now, whether it goes through or not, I don't know, because the last one went forever and they still didn't accomplish what they wanted, because we do have a lot of hard-headed Republicans that are not willing to budge on certain things, and I don't think they should budge on this. And the big deal of this is what I'm trying to make. The big argument on this, what I'm trying to make y'all understand, is it literally doesn't affect the people they're trying to affect by doing it. Now, I'm sure somewhere down the line, ICE might run into a funding problem, but this is not going to accomplish anything for the Democrats. The funding that's already in place for the ICE is already there. Like, it's there. It's in, let's say, their bank account. They're not getting it out. So, and I did think that was very important, because we're gonna hear a lot on this, and I don't think that you deserve to be manipulated on Facebook, Twitter, to whatever. I don't think you should be manipulated to think that this is a Republican thing, because the Democrats straight up are the ones that's having this problem. And I don't even know like the stance on this. Now, to say that I would know right now would be a little bit ignorant, because it happened literally Sunday and this is Tuesday. So, and y'all probably hear this Wednesday, so you'll be a couple days behind. But still, I don't have 110% of the facts, but I do know that that's what they're asking for, and they're not getting it out of this government shutdown that miraculously is supposed to help them. I don't get it, but hey, more power to them, I guess, because we already knew they were dumbasses. I mean, and literally dumbasses, crybabies. They literally do not do anything to benefit American people. But I can't say the same about the Republicans yet either, because what have I gotten out of this? I mean, for eggs, I have chickens, so I have my own eggs. I'm not saying that doesn't affect me and everybody else, but whatever. I'm not going to get off on that, because here I go. I'll get fired up about it. But we're going to talk about the midterms. With being on this topic as we're here, I've hit on the midterms. I can't tell you what to do during the midterms, because I can't tell you to go vote Republican. I would love to tell you to go vote Republican, but I would be an idiot, and you would be an idiot to go do it. Because why do we continue to vote in something that does not help us at all? Now, on the flip side of that, the Democrats are all, obviously, they're all deranged. They're all fucking mentally ill, and we can't really promote them either, because there's one thing you got to understand. I heard it all the time this past election as well, and it's a lot of these people that, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, they're really public when the elections are running. They're not public on politics during the midterms, during all this other stuff, during their local branches of government. They don't really intertwine with all that other shit. They just go with what's popular, and they get told what's in the minority races. They're really gullible when it comes to political campaigns. Okay, look at the influx that Kamala Harris put in. They knew what they were doing when they put Kamala Harris in place to run for president. Okay, she's a black woman. That's all you needed to know. Supposedly she was black. I don't even know if she was actually black, but that's what they pushed. And they put her in there for what? To have a black woman, is to go with the woman vote, to have the black vote. And then they had Tampon Tim that fell in, and they just miraculously loved deer hunting and baseball or football or whatever. And like, he's a man's man. He's like Tucker Carlson to me. He's not a man's man. He's like a bitch man, like a bitch man. Like I'm saying how I feel. Like if I saw him out in the street and I was like, "Hey, this dude's a bitch," or if I got behind him to pay for my gas at the gas station and heard him talk, I would just straight up know he's like a little bitch, and that's how I'd see it. I'm casting judgment on somebody, but that's just what my first interpretation of this guy is. He's just a bitch, and then he speaks out politically, and it's confirmed. Okay. So we were talking about the midterms. With the midterms is going to come a very big and crucial part of what we're either going to get out of Trump or what we're going to get out of Democrats. And when I say that, it's because whoever controls the House controls all these budgets and these spending bills and all this other bullshit. And we're literally in a government shutdown. Now notate this. Now I'm trying to figure out why the Democrats pushed for a government shutdown when it doesn't even directly affect ICE, which they're trying to affect. Now, what I can form an opinion on is they're trying to basically lay the foundation for what they're going to push for after the midterms. Like, hey, these Democratic voters that we think are on the line, that are against ICE, but they've been Republican for a while, they're going to try to bring you over to the Democratic Party based off what they're pushing for at this point. So if you have, and this is another thing about it being a white nationalist, if I'm not going to be at all on the fence about what I should do. I honestly think they were too pussified to go in and handle business how they were supposed to handle business. Period. I don't think they attacked it correctly. I think they were too soft. I think they told everybody what they were doing. So what they expect? I mean, we knew we were going to get some backlash from this. We knew people were going to have to be killed because people don't know how to act in this country, and that was the expectation going in. Obviously, we've redacted all that. We've backtracked. We've kind of pushed away from it. We've notated what we did wrong, and I don't even think they admitted what they did was wrong based off their own conclusion. I think they admitted what they were wrong based off the protest that was in Minneapolis and the adversity they saw when they went in. So I think that the Democrats are going to push for this now. Whether they get anything accomplished or not, they're setting a foundation for what they are going to try to get accomplished after the midterms. So what they're doing now is they're asking for your vote. They're basically saying, hey, I'm going to show you this card here, but when we win the midterms based off your vote, this is what we're really going to push for. And we can accomplish it at this point. So I can't say that I don't want the Republican Party to burn and just crash and burn. It needs to happen, but do I think it needs to happen right now? No. Because Trump doesn't have anything to lose. Vance does. Vance is going to push for 2028. He's been awfully quiet. I think he's been quiet mostly because of the Epstein stuff. We've touched on that before, but I think he's going to be quiet on that. And I think that what we're going to have after the midterms, if they win, is they're going to get what they want. ICE is going to start being defunded somehow, some way. Your police officers down the road are going to be defunded. I mean, they literally defund everybody. Everybody in the defense system is going to be defunded. A lot of these government contracts are going to be expunged. Like, this is going to be a big deal. So what do you do? And I find myself questioning that a lot. Like, what do you do? Do you vote Republican and just bite your tongue and hope and pray they do something in the next 2 years? Or do you go ahead and say, I'm not going to vote. I'll let the fucking lunatics vote one way or another, because You got the MAGA lunatics and you got the Democratic lunatics that neither one of them are on the same realm of thinking as me. And I'm not based off a libertarian. I can't side with a libertarian because 10 out of 10 times they don't have the funding. So we consider them a wasted vote. But I don't see it as that. I mean, I need a lot longer than what I got now to tell you what I really want to push for. I'll tell you what I need to push for. We need to push for somebody who is going to come in and balls to the wall, knock shit down. Trump knew he literally had within a year to deport a lot of people. I'm not saying the whole 10 million, but what this is it's like the trash can. Okay? You got to have it. You know it's going to smell, but you got to have it. And I hate bringing that analogy up because when I say that, it's not a trash can agenda, but you do have to get your trash out. But you only have so long to do that before flies and all that nasty shit start happening. And the flies in this analogy is the Democrats and all these left-wing lunatics that we have to deal with on a day in and day out basis. It's inevitable, to be honest with you. We're at that point now where it's inevitable. We're literally having arguments on if men can have babies, okay? So the unthinkable is going to happen. And if I thought it, I'm sure somebody up there in the administration has thought it. You have a certain amount of time to accomplish what you need to accomplish and put a stronghold on it. With me saying that, and me saying this next subject of, it's going to be kind of wishy-washy on how you want to take it, but you have to have a hard-nosed regime, okay? And I say this like, not on the communist level like Hitler, but you have to have a regime that knows the goal and you come in and do that shit. Now, I'm going to revert back to football when I talk about this. Nick Saban knew his standard when he came into Alabama. All he had to do was get everybody else to buy in. And when they buy in, they win god-awful amount of championships. The administration did not buy into what Trump was pushing, or Trump was pushing it and knew that it was never going to happen. One of the two. I would rather it be the first one, but based off what I voted for. But in reality, I think it was most the second one. And the reason I say that is because they didn't have to announce everything they did before they did it. Okay? And if they did it for your vote. And they knew that, hey, I'm at risk for not letting this fall through. And I would have rather just, hey, let the dumbasses vote what they want to vote. But this has to happen if you get in. And the Minnesota stuff is a big objective to. I think Minnesota probably wouldn't have been as bad had we not uncovered the fraud prior to. And when I say that, I mean this like, had Minnesota not had all the news crews already there covering the fraud, had not stirred up a hornet's nest with the Somalians, and I'm not saying it didn't have to happen. It did need to happen. But was it planned that happened and then I said, oh, we're hammering this place? You're going into a hornet's nest and you're stirring up a lot of shit when you don't have any wall spray, hornet spray, whatever. You literally are walking in with your hands tied and you're saying sting me at that point. So they knew what was going to happen when they went into Minneapolis or Minnesota, whatever. They knew what was going to happen and they were going to stir up a bunch of shit. So when you know that, you need to go in and say, hey, I'm going to get stung probably 1,000 times, but I got to go in there and I got to get shit done. They didn't do it. They backed out. And this is literally my next topic. Pulling out of Minnesota officially after only getting 4,000 arrests in 80 days. Now, if you break that down, that's 55 arrests a day. That's fucking terrible. You got thousands and thousands of ICE agents. I think they pulled the last 700 out the other day, and Tom Homan talked on that the other day, like Monday, I think it was. They pulled out Friday, which is 700 fucking ICE agents, and you're arresting 500 a day. And I get it, and I've gotten arguments with people on Facebook. Well, Obama didn't have to face all these liberal judges. Maybe not, but you still had ICE in there. What does a judge have to do with ICE? They're literally illegal they're illegal immigrants, man. They're not just these people that have green cards that are getting deported. They're illegal immigrants. And I believe the HB1 visa is bullshit too. I think that's the Patels and all those ragheads that are coming over here, that's fitting them. That doesn't fit the people that they were targeting in Minneapolis. Okay, you got the Somalians, you got all these Latin Americans that are causing a bunch of shit, and we arrest 55 a day? 4,000 arrests in 80 days. Now, you can do the math on that. I'm presenting this to you. You do the math on that. What would we have averaged? I mean, at the end of the month or the end of the year, at that rate, what would we have averaged? Subpar numbers. Now, where you're at with this, that's weak. Why is it so weak? And why are they pulling out? Why are they announcing they're moving out? To get the rights to stop. So, you let the Democrats win. You let these left-wing lunatics win. I'm tired of losing. You let them come in. You let them do their little fucking protest, which we all have a right to do that. But you let them box you in. You let them hit you with cars. You let them shoot at you. And there's no accountability to the upper people that were pushing for this. Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, he was pushing for this. He's insinuating riots. If I did that, let it be me that does that for a white race, boy, they'd have me locked up. But Tampon Tim gets away with it, and he's getting paid to do it? Man. What they did is they got the smell from the garbage can out, and they still get to take their garbage. So, they still get their fraud. Then nobody gets held accountable for that bullshit. Nobody gets deported. And the left-wing lunatics get to basically say, hey, if we just pitch a fit every time, we're going to get what we want out of it. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're like, well, what can we do to change that? Well, it comes back to when we vote. I told you about my midterm analogy, whatever. That's a on the fence kind of thing, and I can't promote one way or another right now. But I will tell you this, if we give them another advantage, it's fucking done. This Republican Party that we had, this opportunity we had with Trump, it's done. It's never going to happen again. You won't see another Republican come in and say, we're really going to get to mass deportations. No. It's just like these terrorist organizations that I kind of touched on earlier. You do know that, like, we're funding them, okay? So if we're giving them, I don't remember what the number was today, but we're giving them millions of dollars, billions of dollars, whatever. Who in the hell in their right mind is going to go and revolt against that and try to fight us and them when theoretically they're trying to kill us? Do you really think that they're not trying to kill us and use our own money to do so? I mean, like we're really paying for our own downfall. But, I mean, what is there to expect? We've had a white genocide going on since the 50s, and we're continuing to pay for that and vote for that. So, I mean, call it how you want to call it, but we're getting the same bullshit we've been pushing for as the white people, and it's on our own fucking graces here. I mean, this is what we voted for. Hell, I can't call you stupid because, hell, I voted for it, and I was just too blind to understand that he's going to be full of shit on half of it. 98% of it. And I don't want to harp on the Jews, but I mean, and I didn't know his whole panel was going to be eat up with Jews, but his whole administration's eat up with them. Now, did I know that going into voting for him? No. So, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt, everything I say, because it's probably going to hurt your feelings, but we're stupid. Okay. And I'm not saying we're stupid like intellectually, but if we go out and vote for Republican, you don't expect anything different. Like, you stick your foot in that bed, you're going to get bit. Now, what you do after you take it out is on you. You go stick it in another one, you know you're going to get bit again. Why would you do that? There's no way in hell you like getting stung by ants or bit by ants. I think of it the same way. But I can't tell you where to walk without stepping in ants at this point, because everywhere you put your foot, you're going to get stung. Right now, where we're sitting in February, we're a year and a half, or a year and 2 months into it, man. We got 2 more years left. So, I mean, are we going to push for... Are we not going to vote? Because I'm not that person to say, hey, don't go vote. But where's the accountability in this Trump administration? I told you the last show what he can do to save this, and he's not going to do it because of what we just saw from Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene and them. I mean, I'm not going to skip the topic here, but, well, I might as well. They all uncovered that the Epstein stuff. They go in and they look at unredacted files. And what they do is they uncover the truth behind it, and they present it to us. So, what Mr. Massey came out and said was that, hey, that he was asked, why is Trump not trying to pay attention to this? And he gave a straightforward answer, I believe. But he basically said, hey, Trump's not in the files, basically committing crimes. He was a whistleblower on it. But he straight up told Marjorie Taylor Greene, he called her one day, and she can testify to this or whatever, that he called her and said he was pissed. And she could tell it in his voice. But hey, you need to stop talking about this. Quit voting for this to come out. You're going to be in some shit. And she said, why? And he said, my friends are going to be pissed off. So, I said I didn't want to harp on Jews on every episode. And I'm not just harping on Jews, because there's people that are not Jewish, technically. They're Zionists, whatever the fuck it is. But, why? Or you're, in my opinion, you're just as fucking guilty protecting them as you are. Like, it'd be like this, okay? Say Trump's at Epstein Island, maybe there for dinner, whatever. He doesn't know that there's minors there, and he walks in and sees Jeffrey with a minor, 2 or 3 minors, whatever. And he turns around, walks out, and says, hey, I'm not telling nobody, and never tells a soul. He is just as guilty as the piece of shit was doing something, which is Epstein at this time, whatever. To protect pieces of shit, you are a piece of shit. Call it how you see it. So I have no respect for that. If that's true, and like I said, I'm taking this with a grain of salt because I did support him. But if that's true, fuck you. Donald Trump, fuck you, and fuck your whole administration, fuck Pam Bondi, and screw every one of them. Y'all are trash. Y'all need to be hung on the front lawn of the White House. And if you don't like what I just said, come and fucking get me, because I don't believe that anybody that protects children getting sexually molested or whatever went on, or sexually trafficked, whatever, you're a piece of shit. I think you need to hang from the biggest oak tree in the front lawn of the White House, along with all your fucking friends, if that's what you did. Now, you can prove that otherwise. You can come out yesterday and say, hey, every one of them going to prison. No worries. Let's move on now. Okay, that'd be understandable. But tell me to move on prior to anything coming out, seeing all these files redacted, obviously you're trying to protect them. So that was already in her face. At some point, I'm going to have to stop saying, if you do this, because you're not. Point blank period, you're not going to do it. Here we are. It's fucking February. You ain't done nothing. We got these 2, 3 that have gone rogue, 2 Republicans they've gone rogue and have actually started reading this stuff unredacted and is calling this shit out. I will tell you this, I believe if I was Donald Trump, when I heard that, I would have jumped to the podium and said, hey, no need on talking on it, I'll talk on it. And I would have nipped that shit in the bud. I'd have sent all of them to prison and dealt with it then. But what's going to happen is, if you don't, so help me God, if you don't, all of us men, and if you don't get in line with this, don't even entertain yourself talking to me. Don't entertain watching this fucking show. But you're going to have hell to pay. And I mean that. Us men are going to do some shit that we don't want to do. Good people are going to have to do bad things. Morally, I'm set up for it. Mentally, I'm set up for it. Emotionally, I'm set up for it. And I can tell you right now, there's a lot more that is set up for it because we're pissed off and we're fucking tired of it. You do something to protect these fucking kids and hold them pieces of shit people accountable, or you're going to have hell to pay. Every one of them sick motherfuckers up there is going to have hell to pay. Now take that with a grain of salt, motherfucker. We're not standing for that shit no more. Other people are rioting. India is fucking rioting because they had one person. Our whole fucking government is involved. And don't be a Democrat coming on here and bitching and saying, well, they ain't uncovering nothing. Well, you motherfuckers had the Obama administration and the Biden administration to cover something, and you didn't do it. So you're a piece of shit as well. And if you push for abortions, shut the fuck up talking about these kids being protected, because you hurt pure babies that ain't even fucking born yet. And if you support abortion, you're a piece of shit. I don't want to hear a lip out of you about hurting these kids. So that being said, fuck off. Anybody that supports abortion can kiss my ass. There it went. Fired up, son. I don't even know what I started on. But at least Massey's saying Trump didn't do anything incriminating. But I will tell you, he's just as guilty if he's trying to defend him. Because I'm sorry, you could be my family, you could be my best freaking friend. Let you do wrong, and I'm going to fucking call you out on it. Now, to this level of wrong, I'm going to go to prison. But I'm not in that room with him, but don't let me be in that room. So there goes my invite to Mar-a-Lago if that ever was to come. But, whatever. I can only get so pissed off for everybody else in this country, but nobody else can get pissed off as much as me. I can be honest with you right now. There ain't a single soul that watches this damn episode. There ain't a single soul out here walking these streets as pissed as me. And when I say you're not pissed off enough, you're seriously not pissed off enough. Get to my level, please. I have the high blood pressure. Please be pissed off. I don't see how you're not. All right, anyways, I got to get off that topic pretty quick. So the next current event that's pretty major, and I touched on this earlier about, I'm sorry, that just really fired me up. Like I'm really still, like, my gut is just, and it happens every day because I can't get on my TikTok, I can't get on my Facebook without seeing somebody bitching about something other than the Epstein stuff. And when I get on TikTok and I see people bitching about the Epstein stuff, I'm like, maybe he can relate, but then he makes excuses for one side. Fucking stop that. Stop the left, right. Stop the blue and red. Stop the bullshit. And look at the kid that's walking down the street knowing that there was somebody just like that kid that was going through some shit that you can't even fucking fathom. Stop the bullshit with the fucking party stuff. Okay, we need to get rid of the two-party system. That's period. That's been in our face forever. These elites, they act like they hate each other, and I'll tell you what, they act just like a lawyer. You ever been to court? If you haven't, that's great. But your lawyer goes in there and paints this pretty picture. They sit there and talk mad shit to each other. Then they go to lunch and they sit beside each other and they kind of co-respond, whatever. No, no, we don't need that. You don't have a two-party system. Hate each other fucking every day. Have the passion for what you say and what you believe in, and believe in it. Boy, I'm going to clip one of them and put it on TikTok, and I hope to God I get something out of it, because I'm telling you, I'm fucking pissed. All right. What I was saying before I got back off topic again. So I had this argument, and take it how you want it. Don't really give a shit. But this trans stuff, this trans movement, this LGBTQ plus, whatever the hell they got it into now, is bullshit. Okay, we do not. Don't even try to rationalize this argument, because it's obviously deranged. Like, y'all are playing dress up to a major level. So, what we're going to talk about is this deranged trans lunatic in Rhode Island, who is a man. You can look him up. Eventually, I'm going to figure out how to put stuff on my podcast so y'all can see the clippets and the news articles and all this other shit. And I haven't figured that out yet. So bear with me. I'm technically in challenge when it comes to technology. So I would love to be able to add music too. I'm working on that. Trying to get some music added in this thing. So anyways, we have another deranged trans lunatic killed 3 and wounded 3 at a Rhode Island hockey game. Okay? And I'm going to read off what I wrote, whatever. But you can Google it yourself as well. He killed 2 of his sons and his ex-wife. He was 56 years old and was with his wife for 30 years before their divorce. Now, notate that, because the man was a normal dude. Basically, I guess, a normal father. That was with his wife for 30 years, which is pretty average, I guess. And then something happened in his brain, because there's no other explanation for it. But something happened in his brain. I mean, he's 56 years old, and you got to think 30 years. So he's been with her for, since he was 26. Well, they had a talk to his daughter that I guess was not there, or maybe didn't get injured, or I don't know where the details of her was at, but they didn't say. And the daughter said, in quote, "He shot my family and he's dead now." And then, close quote. And then she went on to add, he was very sick and had mental health issues. And that's my argument. So, like, when I make an argument to a trans person or somebody that's, defending them, it's literally a mental health issue. And to say that it's not is kind of like, how? Because then you got your gays, you have your lesbians and your queers and your faggots, whatever you want to be called, and you have them, and it's like they can correspond with society without playing dress up. Now you see your bull dykes, and I've yet to understand that. Now I don't understand what, I don't get it. So if you're dating a bull dyke who dresses like a man, acts like a man, why not just be with a man? I don't know. That's just always fathomed me. Even as a young kid, I was like, well, how in the hell? Why is she with a guy or girl that looks like a guy and acts like a guy, but it's not just with a guy? Because, I mean, they're not, doing the thing without some kind of additive. Like, I'm trying to keep this as a family show, but, like, you just gotta understand, like, how in the hell are lesbians doing it without some kind of penetration? And then, like, I don't even want that into image, but why? Make sense? I don't know, but hell with it. And then, she's saying he had mental health issues. Well, yeah, that was kind of confirmed, but it's a little too late. But, maybe he should have been in a mental institution when he decided to become a woman after 56 years of his life. Where did the train come off the tracks? Like, he's married. He has, obviously, I want to say two or three. No, he has three kids because he killed two, and she got to speak, and that's his daughter. But where in the hell did it go wrong? Was he playing dress up with his daughter one day and was like, oh my God, this dress fits me perfect? I don't know. So obviously that's like a confirmed thing, but and then you go to the statement that the ex-wife had made, who, and God rest her soul, she passed away after he shot her. And the ex-wife, they go back to where she filed for divorce and the reasoning for, and the ex-wife, when filing for the divorce, stated the reasoning was because of the gender reassessment surgery. He was a narcissist and he had personality disorder traits. And so when you hear personality disorder traits, you're thinking of that movie. And I don't watch scary movies. I'm not gonna pay to be scared. Like I don't get it. So what I'm taking from it is that guy had like people talking to him or something, like schizophrenia, kind of. Maybe he wanted to play dress up and just ride it out one day. I don't really know. Can't really reason with people with mental disability like that. So I get the frustration on the wife's side, because, like, hey, you want to be a girl? I'm not a lesbian. I'm not going to be with a guy that wants to be a girl. So then you got to take that, and then you think, well, he was a narcissist. And I think that's way overused in today's society. That's like the biggest excuse, is to, like, people's downfall, or people's, like, somehow we're not all narcissists. I'm not saying I've ever been called one, but to say that everybody's a narcissist, maybe it's you. I really can't stand that victim complex of, like, well, it's not me. It's not me in my seventh relationship with Joe Blow down the road. They're all narcissists. Well, lady, what the fuck? And I'm not saying this is the wife's encounter, because they were together 30 years. Like, he didn't just. Obviously, the dude's a fucking lunatic. So I'm not saying that he wasn't a narcissist, but we could have left that one out, and because everybody's supposedly a narcissist, but he had the personality disorder traits, and like, maybe he obviously thought he was going to be a woman, so he went and got the surgery, and then she divorced him. So it was prior to her divorce that he did that. So maybe that needed to be a little bit more looked into. I don't, I'm not trying to get on that with the. I do respect the dead, and I understand. There's things that go on in people's houses that I have no idea about. I don't care to know about it, unless, of course, it's something impacting children and women. But I can't justify the narcissistic thing, because I don't know. But the personality disorder traits, that's a mental problem, and he obviously had that. So in turn, he goes to a hockey game. He shoots his two kids, which, what the fuck, man? And shoots his in-laws, which his father-in-law, which I read, his father-in-law kicked him out when he decided he wanted to be a trans woman, or wanted to be a woman and he was going to be trans. I guess they were living with the in-laws or whatever, but the father-in-law kicked him out. So he had a little bit of resentment and hatred towards his father-in-law. But why? What did your kids do? One of the kids was a more of an adult kid, and then he had a younger kid playing hockey, and then he obviously had the daughter. I don't know the age on the daughter, nor do I know the actual age of any of them. But obviously, if one's playing hockey and he's younger of age, he's probably still in school. So what did they do to you? You fucking lunatic. What did they do to you? You know? And then I just kind of notated this because it's kind of funny. Like, not literally funny, but it's like, all this occurred 4 miles away from where that Portuguese man killed two Brown University students, that the FBI absolutely debumbled that whole fucking investigation. Like, that was a big crock of shit. And then the Brown University was really held accountable because they supposedly had cameras, but they never had camera footage of anybody getting shot. Right. You know, that was a little weird. That whole investigation was a little odd. But And I'm not here to talk on that because that's way over. The dude ended up getting like killing himself. Both of the fucking weirdos killed themselves. Somebody needs to investigate Rhode Island. What the hell's going on up there mentally? Like, do they not have mental programs to help trannies and people from Portuguese or Portugal? Like, do they not have programs to help these fucking weirdos? And you know that's that. And I don't, like I said, I don't have a ton more to talk about. I'm at the hour mark, and it's 11:30 now. But you know, something we got to do, and there's a whole lot to talk about as far as I still have a lot of other facts. You know, I'm like waiting on the right time. I thought about putting them out there today because it was kind of slow on white genocide, but don't think I'm going to forget you on that one, because if I forget, nobody's going to listen to it, because I'm a white nationalist. Well, that all being said, like we're gonna keep hitting on stuff that's like hopefully interesting enough to keep y'all here. Like I said, my last video didn't do too great on views, and I honestly thought it was worth viewing a lot more than the first one. The first one did great, and I appreciated all that. I wish they would have came back, but they didn't. So we're gonna keep going. I don't give a shit if I have 2 views. I know who those 2 would be, but you know, it'd be me and my buddy. But I really hope that people understand what I'm trying to say with this government shutdown stuff, and my views on this ICE pullout. That's a loss. It's a general loss. Like, you can't, anybody who's rooting for us to be pulled out of Minnesota, you don't want what's best for this country. You obviously don't know the amount of tax dollars that you put into these Somalians and all these fraud cases and all that other shit. And actually, when I was touching on earlier, was the Sarah Adams podcast with Sean Ryan. She actually hit on that a little bit. You're actually funding a terrorist organization when your money goes to Somalia. Because technically, without Israel, Somalia would never be able to be classified as an actual country. So, that's a little weird, but hey, you have a plethora of stuff that if you wanted to take the time to go look into, you're more than welcome to go do that. And I would honestly recommend doing that. Don't rely on me. Don't rely on Joe Rogan. Don't rely on Nick Fuentes, because we're all white ass niggas going hard as fuck. But at the end of the day, don't rely on everybody to give you facts, because you can do this for yourself. But if you have a talking point to go off of, kind of dig into it. And with me having this podcast, I have to have enough to talk about that keeps everybody interested. So, of course, I can't focus just on this government shutdown and the implications from that. So, I mean, but it's important to know, because you yourself is probably going to get in an argument with some Democrat in about 2 days about this government shutdown and where the blame's going. And I want you to have the facts to back it up, because there's nothing more. I'll say this, and I'll close it out. Promise. I work at a place, whatever, I'm not going to say. But there's a guy who's obviously a liberal. How he got into construction, I don't know. I operate heavy equipment. But then that's very, 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 very rare to ever see anybody that's a liberal working with us. But um, he's a liberal. Somehow, and we had a guy that was on our our, our in our company that was just not, he's not very intelligent when it comes to politics, and you could tell. And you didn't expect it, but the liberal asked him, like, they were getting a debate, and he was just meat riding Trump, and the liberal was calling out all the factual information that kind of, I wouldn't say factual, but he believed was factual. And then so it kind of got in a debate. Well, I got brought up, or I got asked about it, and me, I love politics. I'm relatively new there, so I'm like, man, I'll talk to you. It infuriated me that this liberal had already framed an agenda, or not framed an agenda, but basically came to a conclusion based off this conversation with a guy who's obviously not into the political world. He just meat rides Trump. That's very frustrating, because now somebody that's going to actually defend Trump logically I look like a meat writer, and I'd look like that I don't know what I'm talking about. And when I present that factual information to him, he can form his own conclusion based off what we talked about. So what I'm basically getting at is, if you're going to talk on something, please be educated on it. And I like to do that. I like to get on debates with people. I like to be on TikTok live and look at the people that are commenting and saying, "Hey, I'm inviting you to a debate. Please debate me." And we get on there and actually hold a logical debate. Now, that very rarely happens because you got to think you're dealing with the left. But when you do run into some that are open-minded enough to argue with you on a logical mindset, like, I'm not going to name call you, I'm not going to do this, but we're going to talk, and I'm open to your facts, and maybe I'm open-minded to it, then we can see on both sides of the spectrum here, and then you can form your opinion on what you want to support. It's very rare that happens, but I do like when it happens. Please be educated on what you argue about, because they're going to form an opinion. They're never going to debate with anybody else that sides with you on any kind of view, and they're going to form an opinion on a whole political party or a whole, political backing that maybe wasn't accurate in the first place. So kind of take some talking points on all three of my episodes so far. We're on episode 3. I plan on coming out with another one. I think I'll upload it maybe Friday. But take those points and actually look into them for yourself to defend yourself, because it's going to be hard to come back to this podcast or anybody else's and find those facts and say, well, and reply in a significant manner, because give them about 10 minutes, they think they won. So that being said, I very much appreciate everybody. I appreciate anybody that tunes in, that likes and subscribes, follows my TikTok. Hopefully by Friday, I'll have a TikTok page specifically for this podcast, and maybe we can upload some clips there. I still will get on my personal DJ_Darby_ to, debate on live, stuff like that. But I very much appreciate the support, and I'm hoping to see y'all on the next episode, and maybe I can have some music in here, or maybe some ability to clip stuff and put in here. I don't know how to do that yet. I really need an IT guy. Like I said, I'm a heavy equipment operator. I'm not no damn tech guru. Please bear with me, and like I said, I appreciate y'all, and please keep, fighting the good fight. I know it doesn't look like anybody's there to support us, because they're really not, man. Nobody's going to save us. I think there's enough of us right now that in 10 years we won't be. Well, I mean, we might be here. You never know what tomorrow holds for you. Please be passionate about this stuff, and maybe not to the scale of me to get high blood pressure, but you need to be pissed off, because we're getting done wrong on the whole spectrum here. We're getting done wrong. And I really hope that y'all get enthusiastic about it and share my stuff, man. I want to reach out to everybody. And even if it's people you think would disagree with me or debate me, I'm open for debate. I'm open for disagreements and arguments. I'm not scared to argue. Might not be the best person to argue with in person, but we can work on something, because a lot of people like to name call, and I don't do that shit. So anyways, y'all have a great night, and be safe, and tune in whenever I upload another one. Thank you.